Hi everyone, I'm Victoria Carthew and I'm glad to be sharing lessons with you all. Here's what we have planned. First, in English, we'll be looking at 3 ways that writers try to influence their audience. In maths, we'll play a new card game that uses rules about order of operations, plus, minus, divide and multiply. And in science, we will learn how electricity can be produced using fossil fuels. Have you ever read something that has had a significant impact on you? Maybe it stuck with you long after you read it, or it convinced you to do or feel something. Authors use a variety of techniques to influence their readers. Rebecca looks at 3 of those ways.
Hi everyone. Authors use words to stir up emotions, to make the audience feel a particular way, or to convince them to do something or agree with a particular point of view. Today, we are going to look at 3 different ways authors influence their readers. These are techniques you might like to use next time you write something. The 3 different techniques we are going to look at today are modality, emphasis, and repetition. The first technique we'll look at is modality. Modality expresses how possible or probable or necessary something is. Do you have to do this? Or do you have some choice about whether you do it or not? Modality can go from high to low. A phrase with high modality is certain and strong. Low modality is the opposite. It conveys uncertainty and weakness. Some examples will make this clear. We can think of modality in terms of degrees of obligation. This means how necessary something is. On our Klein or continuum, words that have a lower degree of obligation are placed on the left, and words that have a high degree of modality are on the right. Our obligation becomes stronger as we move from the left, where the weakest degree of obligation will be placed, to the right, where the word has the strongest degree of obligation. On our Klein at the moment, we only have the word could. This is towards the lower end of the degree of obligation Klein. The word could relates to an obligation, but it means that something is not absolutely necessary and that we must do it. Your challenge is to think about where we could add our other modal verbs on this Klein. Our words are will, must, and might. Think about how much obligation or a feeling that something must be done is attached to these words. Which word has the strongest degree of obligation? It would be placed all the way to the right of the Klein. Which word has the lowest degree of obligation? It would be all the way to the left on the Klein. Take a moment to think where you would place these words on our Klein to show the degree of obligation. What did you decide? This is my obligation Klein. I have placed might, could, will, and must on the Klein from weakest degree of obligation to strongest degree of obligation. Did you think of something similar? When we think about modality, we can also think about degrees of probability. This means how likely something is. Going from low modality to high modality, we have the words improbable, which means that something most likely won't happen, to possible to probable, which means it probably will happen, to certain. Why do you think an author would use modality to influence their reader? By telling us that something is certain or has a high degree of obligation, an author makes an argument or a position appear very strong, like we should agree or react in a particular way. Authors can also use low modality to argue against something, making a position seem weaker. Authors also use emphasis to influence their readers. Emphasis is a strategy authors use to stress a key point, convey importance, or create a purposeful effect. Emphasis can be achieved through language features such as modality, repetition, and exaggeration. Punctuation, such as an exclamation mark, can emphasise words or ideas. Have a look at the following sentence where the author has used emphasis to influence the reader. We absolutely must do everything we can to achieve our aims. How has the author used emphasis here? What have they emphasised? The author has used modality by saying we absolutely must take action. This highlights how important it is that action is taken, and emphasis has been placed on doing something. Placing emphasis on an idea can help position the reader to agree with the author. If an author uses emphasis to make something seem important, they are able to influence the way we think about something. Repetition is another technique authors use to influence their audience. Repetition is used by writers to purposefully affect their readers. Repetition is when the authors repeat the same word or phrase or words of similar meaning, that is a synonym, to draw attention to an idea and stress importance. Let's look at an example of a sentence that shows repetition. Can you spot the repetition in this sentence? Dad laughed and chuckled when I told him my news. How has the author used repetition? Are you able to see some synonyms in this sentence? The author has used the synonyms laughed and chuckled to have an impact on the reader. What impact do you think they were trying to have? By using synonyms, the author used repetition to show how happy the father was. This makes the reader feel like a good event has taken place and helps suggest that the person who received the news was also happy. Authors carefully select language to have an impact on their reader. Modality, emphasis, and repetition are all strategies authors may use to help position the reader to feel something or to react to what they read. To leave you today, I would like to set you a challenge. Next time you are talking to someone at home, see how you can use modality, emphasis, or repetition to influence them. You might like to use degrees of obligation or certainty. You may choose to employ repetition, or you might like to emphasise important information or ideas to get someone to react to what you say in a particular way. Remember, this should be fun. Think about people's feelings when you are using these language techniques and use your powers for good, not evil. Also, think about what you read. How have the authors of written text used these strategies to influence their audience? Do you think they were successful? See you next time. Bye.
When we're at home, my family and I play a lot of games. I have to learn the rules for each game and practice them. Sometimes we even make up our own games with our own rules. It is important that when we play a game, everyone understands and follows the rules. Imagine the chaos and confusion if we didn't. It is the same with maths. Mathematicians have sets of rules to follow to ensure accuracy and to help communicate their thinking.
Hi everyone. Have you ever had to make a double batch of delicious cupcakes or blueberry muffins? If you have to double a recipe, you would need to multiply all the ingredient amounts by 2 before you add them together to mix in the bowl. Notice how we multiply the amount of ingredients before we add them together. This follows the order of operations in mathematics. Today, we are going to use the order of operations to solve expressions. Previously, we have used the order of operations when solving problems. This helps everyone to work in the same way to get the same answer. This is why mathematics is a universal language. Mathematicians all around the world need to be able to read, write and communicate the same way to find solutions for all kinds of things like banking and engineering problems. Let's remind ourselves of these 3 rules. The first thing we have to do is solve operations inside any brackets. Brackets always show what needs to be solved first. The second rule is to do all multiplications and or divisions before starting any addition and or subtraction. The third rule is that we always work from left to right. Let's look at an example together. Let's solve 3 plus 2 in brackets multiplied by 6. Okay, as 3 plus 2 is in brackets, we have to simplify this first. 3 plus 2 equals 5. Now we can multiply the 5 by 6. This will give us the final answer of 30. Let's look at how we write this mathematically. But do you think the answer would be the same if we did the sum without brackets? Let's try it now. It would look like this. Remember, we have to do the multiplication first. So 2 times 6 equals 12. Okay, now we can do the addition. So let's add 3 to 12. Our final answer is 15. And this is how we would write it mathematically. Now, we can see how important the order of operations is. With the brackets, the answer is 30. But without the brackets, our answer is 15. That's a big difference. Remember, within each step, we always work from left to right, just like when we read. If everyone follows these rules, we will all get the same answer and avoid any confusion. Now that we know these rules, let's have some fun with them. Let's play a new card game that uses rules about the order of operations: plus, minus, divide and multiply. This is Jen, and she's going to help us out today.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Jen. So, Jen, I've got a deck of cards here, and we're going to show you how to play a game that uses the order of operations, your problem-solving skills, and a deck of cards. We have removed all the picture cards from this pack, but we've kept the aces to use as ones. That means we've got all the cards from 1 to 10. I have already shuffled these cards, so now I'll deal 5 cards in a line facing up. These are our value cards, which we are going to perform operations on to reach a target value. So we need to draw one more card from the pack and place the remaining cards face down in a pile. So here's an example. Our target card is 10 and our value cards are 1, 2, 2, 5 and 3. So now we have to think about the possible ways we can make 10 using order of operations. This means we could add, subtract, multiply or divide to get 10. But we can only use each of our 5 cards once and you don't have to use all of them. How would you use these numbers to reach 10? We could reach our target by multiplying 2 by 2, which equals 4. Then we could add on 5 to give 9, and then we could add our ace, which is 1, giving us a final answer of 10. Notice how we multiplied first, then carried out the addition operations. So we followed the order of operations. Okay, Jen, let's play. In our game, Jen and I are going to write down our best solution and then check our answers at the end. The order of operations will be used to check each other's work. The winner will be the person who reaches the target number using the most value cards. If the target number cannot be reached, then the winner will be the person who reaches closest to the target number. Okay, Jen, are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, so I'm going to put out the value cards. Okay, and then I need to put out the target card. So here's our value cards. They're 5, 4, 5, 2 and another 4. Our target number is 8. You know, there's many ways, Jen, to make an expression that gets to this target number of 8. So may the best mathematician win. Ready, set, go, Jen. We've both finished, so I'll share my expression first. So Jen, I've written 4 multiplied by 4, which equals 16, and then I've divided by 2, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I've reached the target number using 3 cards. What about you, Jen?
Well, I wrote 5 subtract 5, and then I added 4 multiplied by 2, which is 8. So I reached the target value of 8 with 4 cards.
That's great, Jen. So you used the order of operations to do the multiplication 4 by 2 equals 8 before you did the subtraction and then the addition, and you worked from left to right. So you're the winner.
Wow, thank you.
You got the target number using 4 cards. And we've both used our mathematical knowledge of order of operations to play the game. Okay, look at the time. Thanks, Jen, for helping out with my game.
No worries. Bye, everyone.
So to recap today, we wrote and solved expressions using the order of operations. Later on, you might like to challenge yourself or your family to a game too. Once you've mastered using these 4 operations, why not add in some new rules, like the use of brackets or adding the joker back into the deck as a wild card. Have fun and see you next time. Bye, everybody.
It's really important that we look after ourselves, so next we have some exercises to help our well-being so we feel calm and happy. Maybe this is something new to you, but I promise it'll be lots of fun. So are you ready to use the amazing power of your spidey senses?
Hi, I'm Renee. This is Melissa. She's a teacher of the deaf. We're at home just like you. Quiet activities can be very useful in looking after ourselves. Do you know that spiders have amazing senses that can notice things in their environment? I like to use my spidey senses to focus my attention and to calm myself. Let's try using our spidey senses now. This session is based on using all of our 5 senses to be mindful in our environment. Our senses are what we see, what we hear, what we touch, what we taste, and what we smell. Listen to my instructions and follow along. First, you need to be in a space that's comfortable just for you. You can stand, sit, lie on your back or your belly. Now, what are 5 things that you can see? Can you see your baby sister or your dog? Think of your answer in your head, not out loud. Now use your spidey senses. What are 4 things that you can hear? Can you hear someone with the vacuum? Can you hear the mower outside? What are 3 things that you can touch? Can you feel hard tiles, soft carpet, or your clothes? Now, what are 2 things that you can smell? Is someone baking cookies in the kitchen? Now, what is 1 thing that you can taste? Maybe a snack that you just had. Now take a deep breath in and out. How do you feel? That's great. That's all for now. See you next time.
I think we take the availability of electricity in our everyday life for granted. We simply flick a switch or push a button and the lights come on, or a household appliance starts operating. Have you ever wondered where that electricity comes from? Let's learn how electricity can be produced using fossil fuels.
Look around the room that you're sitting in to watch this TV program. Now, take some time to think about the many devices in the room that need electricity to operate. Perhaps you can see some right now. Lights, fan, air conditioning, television, computer, stereo, refrigerator, oven, microwave. Of course, it will depend on the room that you're in. But there are so many things in our homes that need electricity to work. Have you ever wondered where the electricity needed to operate all these appliances comes from? Well, today we are going to explore how electricity is made or generated to power our appliances. The story begins millions of years ago. Fossil fuels are formed from the remains of ancient plants and animals that are buried in the earth and decay over time. Fossils. Over millions of years, heat and pressure has turned these remains into the fuels that we call natural gas, oil and coal. Coal is mined and burned to release the energy stored inside. If we look more closely at the flow chart, we can see that natural gas and coal tend to be used to generate electricity. Now, electricity can be generated from other energy sources other than coal, oil or natural gas, but approximately 80% of current worldwide energy use is from these fossil fuels. Let's look more closely at how electricity is generated from fossil fuels. For us to generate energy from fossil fuels, they must undergo several energy transformations. That means they must change from one type of energy to another type. To illustrate these energy transformations, we're going to use an energy chain. So follow along with me as we go through the steps in this chain. It shows how more than half of the world's energy via electricity is generated, but on a larger scale in a power station. First, to release the energy stored in coal, it must be burned in a furnace. This produces heat energy. The heat energy heats up a liquid, usually water, inside a boiler. It's like a kettle. This produces steam. The steam is then piped into a turbine. It's like a big fan. The steam pushes and spins the fan's propellers in the turbine, producing rotational energy. And this is where it gets interesting. The turbine is connected to a generator that transforms the rotational energy from the spinning propeller into electrical energy or electricity. To do this, we actually have to use magnets. You remember magnets? But they're better for creating electricity than they are for just picking up paper clips. I can demonstrate here with this little torch. Hear that sound? Vroom, vroom. It's like a race car engine. It's actually because there's a spinning magnet inside this torch. When I work the handle, the magnet spins inside some copper wire, and by doing so, creates the electricity that lights up the torch. The whole situation in a power plant is just a much bigger version with much bigger magnets. Now, that electricity is then distributed to homes and businesses using power lines, so we can turn on our appliances. The steam is then cooled and condensed back into liquid water. It is pumped back into the boiler and the process starts all over again. However, it is important to understand the impacts of generating electricity for our communities in this way. Because fossil fuels are formed over millions of years, they are not able to be regenerated quickly. So fossil fuels as a source of energy for electricity generation in the future may not be able to keep up with the demands of an expanding population and resource-intensive industries. What this means is that we need to look at other ways that we can generate electricity. So be sure to tune in for our next time when we will investigate different and renewable sources of energy. Okay, let's recap what we've learned today. This is what we now know. The fossil fuels, coal, oil and natural gas, are formed over millions of years from the remains of ancient plants and animals. An energy chain can be used to show the energy transformations that occur when fossil fuels are burned to create electricity. Fossil fuels are not a sustainable source of energy. And now it's your turn. Sometimes we take the availability of electricity in our everyday life for granted. We don't always think about the number of everyday items that need electricity. So, why don't you spend some time conducting a little audit in 2 rooms of your house? For example, the kitchen and your bedroom. And list the everyday appliances that use electricity. Things like stereos, televisions, charging iPads. Come up with some ways that you can save electricity. Maybe if you're not using it, turn it off. Or even better, turn it off at the wall. That way you can save electricity. And if my kids are watching, you can actually save your dad some money. Okay, thanks for watching and see you next time.
All the best with your electricity audit in 2 rooms of your house. Well, the electric clock on the wall is telling me that learning at home TV lessons are done for the morning. I'll leave you with that homework and say goodbye. Thanks for joining us and have a great rest of your day.
Authorised by the Queensland Government, Brisbane.